Hey guys and girls, it's Logan Holmes, and it's time for episode review number 71, where I will be reviewing, Ghoul from SpongeBob. So, this is a season 8 episode, and, so it starts off with SpongeBob and Patrick looking at clouds. SpongeBob sees one that looks like Sandy, Patrick sees one that looks like a cloud, and then SpongeBob sees one that looks like Mr. Krabs. Then Patrick sees one that looks like a flying houseboat, but it's not a cloud. It is a real flying houseboat. And it lands, SpongeBob and Patrick, look around in it, and they see this ghost in there. They think it's a fancy pizza parlor, well, Patrick does, and that he's a robot, one of the singing robots, like at Chuck E. Cheese, how they have all those, yeah, so then, and he thinks that he's coin operated, so he puts a quarter up his nose, and then the pirate sings him a song about ghosts, and then he gives him a pizza with anchovies, like real live anchovies.
She was harassed when you got promoted. Now, what would your little buddies have done if she named you outright? I'm thinking that even your fellow Marines would have gone this far. This was something that you had to take care of all by yourself. And that is why you stalked her, you stabbed her, and you stuffed her into the trunk of her own car.
So, yeah, so they're here because, thinks SpongeBob, think he asks him why he's in Bikini Bottom, and then he says that, usually it's to haunt people, but they blew a head gasket, so the ghosts take SpongeBob and Patrick's souls, but he'll give them back whenever they find a head gasket. Then they go to the Krusty Krab. They find a head gasket out of some car in like the Krusty Krab parking lot. Mr. Krabs does, and Mr. Krabs is going to find the balloons and Sandy. Don't think Squidward really wants to go, but like Mr. Krabs think he makes him go anyway. Then Sandy goes. Sandy's a customer, and she wants to look for ghosts using this ghost tracker, and then like some kind of ghost finder, and then she looks because she has it because she's looking for ghosts and, well, milkshake gremlins, and she doesn't find any. So then they bring the head gasket out. Mr. Krabs takes doubloons, like out of his treasure chest, and there's one doubloon stuck in there, and then and it's actually part of the ghost's hat, and then
I said, open your mouth or I'm going to have you restrained and have your blood drawn. You decide. Thanks for the call. Only because I had to, Commander. So long. Oh, no, hold it. You don't get him until you sign for it. Thanks for your hard work. Enjoy it while it lasts. You won't have custody for long. Can't be serious. Military justice is swift and sure. As a prosecutor, you should appreciate that.
so where was I? So then they give SpongeBob gives the head gasket, and then he gives the souls back. SpongeBob drinks, like the souls are like liquid, and then SpongeBob like drinks his soul. Then the ghost throws the the Patrick his soul, and then the bottle cracks, and he tries to lick it up, and then the ghost says that that wasn't the real, that he actually never had their souls. They were some orange sodas that had been sitting out in the sun for a few days. So then, Mr. Krabs, Patrick and Squidward get sucked into some kind of void that the ghost has, and um, Mr. Krabs has to pee, and then he ends up going to this like porta potty, then and then it's but he has to pay like a doubloon to enter. He's like no, and like and then Patrick. So Patrick has this plain donut on his head. Then he says that instead of a plain donut, he wants all these other things. But then he says, "Oh wait, I want a plain donut." Then the donut is like the is like no, and then Squidward is in like has this like huge SpongeBob and Squidward, and then he starts screaming. So what else happens? So Sandy is able to suck Mr. Krabs, Patrick, and Squidward out with her ghost finder, and then and then they find out that the doubloons actually belong to the Flying Dutchman, uh, and then and the ghost's like, oh, I was friends with the Flying Dutchman for years, and then he doesn't care about the gold, and he'll never find us. But then the Flying Dutchman finds them because it is SpongeBob's civic duty to report stolen property. So then he tricks the Flying Dutchman into giving the gold back, then it puts it into reverse, and then Flying Dutchman drops the gold as they get away. Then the Flying Dutchman starts, chasing after them. Then like the Flying Dutchman turns into a missile. Then he strikes the other ghost ship, and then everyone's in this void, and the plain donut gets eaten by some skeleton. Plain donut's on Patrick's head. Then everyone's paying with bones, and it turns out that the giant SpongeBob is flipping the Krusty Krab, but then the giant SpongeBob is actually the Flying Dutchman. So, oh, and Sandy ends up finding a milkshake gremlin. So, really great. I'd say a pretty good episode. One of my favorite specials, I'd say. Um, I really like this episode. Doesn't this might I do think this will probably end up being a kind of a, well, some people will probably agree with me when I say that I think that this is better than I Was a Teenage Gary. At least I'd definitely say. But Scaredy Pants is definitely better than Ghoul Fools. So probably a 9 out of 10 maybe. I mean maybe or maybe I could give it a 10 out of 10 and say even though Scaredy Pants is better. So yeah, about like that. So funny, I'd say definitely. Had humor, I'd say, and which I Was a Teenage Gary really didn't really lacked humor, but Ghoul Fools does have humor, so that's definitely a strong point. So thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and peace out, fans.